So you told our daughter who's 6, like, look, you know, one more
Here we
person
go.
watched it. Two. And then she had stayed in.
Are we starting?
Well, we were the red light. Oh, there we go. We're perfect. All right. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Branford Planning and Zoning regular meeting for Thursday, December 12th. And attends our regular members, DeFrancisco, Mace, Eldenzi, and Dulac. Our first order of business is our minutes from November 21st, which I don't have a copy of with me.
Here
You
are
have
extras,
copies?
yep.
I just want to see who was, if we can do those.
Does anyone else need?
Okay,
I
so,
do not.
yeah, we can do those because everybody was here except for Bill.
Maybe Trish and, I don't know if you guys.
You guys need a
want-
copy?
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you want to sign? Or is it-
Yes.
Text amendment, blah, blah, blah. Other business, Gary shot me down. That's good.
Yep.
Got it in there.
Carrie next.
Yeah, she's next to good stuff. If you're good, just make a motion, please.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from November 21st, 2019.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
And Bill abstains, that passes 3-0. Bill abstains. All right, so our next order of business, we closed the public hearing, so Bill, I don't think you can participate with that because it was closed, right?
So I guess the first question is, did you participate?
I participated long.
Oh, yeah,
We've been talking
about
oh,
this
yeah,
long.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
We've been
talking about this for a
Okay,
long
yeah,
time.
So
he
if
can-
you are familiar with
I've definitely.
Oh, okay.
the matter and review
Yep,
the
sure.
meeting minutes from prior meetings,
Yep.
then you can
Okay.
participate.
So where we landed, everybody has a draft of what what the proposal is. And so so what we,
Sure.
was that, yep, so what we came together on is section 24.5.2. It's a coverage for non-conforming lot areas. On all lawful existing non-conforming lots in the residential R40 district having less than the required minimum lot area set forth in Schedule B, which is less than 40,000 square feet. Each required maximum lot coverage shall not exceed 50% or 4,000 square feet, whichever is less. So that's where we kind of landed.
So just to break that down a little bit more, if I have a lot that's 39,999 square feet, it would fall under this. If I have a lot that's 40,000 square feet or larger, I would be at the 10%. So it doesn't change anything that's conforming, so 40,000 square feet or larger. Then if I do have a non-conforming lot, so say just for ease of math, say my parcel is 20,000 square feet, I would be able to have a lot coverage for buildings of 15%, right, which would be
Another 50,000.
3,000 square feet,
3,000 square feet.
right, because that's less than the 4,000.
So that's where we kind of landed on.
Yeah.
Did the attorney look at this?
Yeah, she says,
Yes,
okay, good,
and she
'cause I was
thought it
gonna try
sounded
to
fine.
read that language and make sure
I know,
it
I
actually
don't
read.
like
I
how
had the
it's
same
worded.
question.
It's
Yeah,
probably
okay.
worded appropriately.
She did, and
As
then
long as they.
what I did in the table,
Lawfully existing.
does that make sense?
If the attorney reviewed it, I'm okay with it.
They think like this all the time.
Yeah.
So,
So and how I drafted it, just so you know, I could have copied this for you as well, but if you look at our existing regulations in section 24, which I can even pass this down. So this is our existing regs. We have a side setback for non-conforming lots, that it goes down to 10 feet as opposed to 15. So I modeled this language off of that. So
Oh, okay.
for non-conforming lots, for setbacks, like I say, they can, if they don't meet the 125 feet of frontage, they can go down to 10 feet. So I just phrased it pretty much the exact same way. On all lawfully existing non-conforming lots in the residence R40 district having less than the required minimum lot frontage set forth in
Mhm.
Schedule B, each required minimum setback from a side, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So we can have, so we can discuss this more, but somebody needs to make a motion.
Close the public hearing.
No, the public hearing's closed.
But
So-
before you do that, sorry, just to go over what the other change is to this table.
Yeah.
And that's, if you look at line 8, I just added what's in bold. So I kept, you'll notice under the column R40, I kept the 10% the same.
Mhm.
And then I just made a note, or per section 24.5.2 for non-conforming lots. So I'm just trying to simplify it so
Yeah.
that it's not 15 or
Yeah.
4,000, whichever is
Whichever is
like,
less.
how do you squeeze all of that in there?
Exactly.
So,
So we can continue discussion, or have it, further discussion. Can somebody move, read the motion in and move to approve it?
I move to approve with an effective date of December 27th, 2019, Planning and Zoning Application 2019-7, petition of North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission to amend the North Branford zoning regulations to read as follows. Section 24.5.2, coverage for non-conforming lot areas. On all lawfully existing non-conforming lots in the residence R40 district having less than the required minimum lot area set forth in Schedule B, each required maximum lot coverage shall not exceed 15% or 4,000 square feet, whichever is less. And modification to the existing table, Section 24, Schedule B, line 8 as attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now.
I have a question. It's just a practical question. So the way I read this is, just take number 6, maximum height of buildings. You say R80 is 35. You'd read across and I1 is 100. So then, if you go to the 8 that you just modified, it says maximum lot coverage by building is percent lot area or per section 25. So if you read across, it still says 10. Or am I?
Right.
Should there be?
so
Shouldn't
by
there-
adding in the or per section 24.5.2 for non-conforming lots, kind of replace the 10% in my mind, but.
Yeah, I don't want to make this complicated. I wonder if it's like almost like a footnote though, wouldn't it? No, I don't. I'm just raising that.
Well, and
think I'm
I
making
thought
it-
about that of having an asterisk, but then you'll see down below, it's
There's
actually,
so many.
there's footnotes more of the effective date of the change, not the
Further
note.
information.
Right.
Yeah, so it makes you,
Just makes you go to the section,
yeah,
that
if
way
you
you
have
have
a
all the info.
non-conforming lot, yeah, you just go to section 24.
Or you can read it as, unless if it's a non-conforming lot per 24.5.2, it's 10%.
Well, that's good. If they only go with 10%, then we don't have to worry about anything.
True. It's fine.
Right, I see what you're saying.
There's probably no, it's a table, so it's hard, it would be hard to
Yeah,
put
we're not bound
information
by
in.
the table, we're
Yeah.
bound by the regs, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, well, the table, I mean,
It's a table
Right,
can't.
right, yeah, that's just supposed to make it easier for like a guide, but right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I have nothing else.
Anybody else have anything on that?
No, I do, it's logistical, because if you wanted to make like a separate column for non-conforming,
We don't have,
yeah.
Well, and
It's
that's
format
the other
logistical.
thing, so the exception that we have for non-conforming lots that don't meet the frontage requirements, there's nothing in the table that references that.
Mhm.
Okay,
So,
yeah, it's fine, but it's good to be thorough. We are very thorough.
All right, so Trish, since you moved the motion,
helps, I am in favor of it because it just helps to bring into alignment what, our citizens need and what ZBA is doing, and what we should be doing. Just aligns it and makes it a better, team effort.
Alex?
I vote yes on this. We've gone over this topic many months, and looking at what the public has asked, whether it's for the ZBA, all the different cases that came forward in front of that, to our public hearings, and us going back and forth discussing on it and seeing what actually would fit with our current regs and make these more conforming, as well going with our current plans of conservation. And I feel this is our one of the best paths we could take with this, and helping our citizens that have come up to us in many cases to help them out in the situation.
Bill?
Yeah, I vote yes. It allows all residents that have lawfully existing non-conforming lots the ability to expand their properties without needing a variance.
And I vote yes as well. I mean, we saw, you know, the time it took and the money it takes to go through the process of ZBA, and it's only been, I mean, it's probably been a few dozen over the last 2 years or something like that. But it smooths that process out a little bit. And I think it's fair because we looked at a lot of different options, whether it was a tiered approach or
Yeah.
straightforward, or do we do it across all R40, maybe even R80. But this will give, it will make it easier for those that have the Bill's quote, lawful non-conforming lots, to, you know, if they want to expand a little bit, and without the headache and the red tape of going through the ZBA process, and I think it'll work out for everybody. Also, it's an easier way to for everybody to record it and to figure it out, the actual square footage of what's appropriate for this. So I vote yes on that. It passes 4-0. All right. Other business. Discussion regarding possible zone change to 88 Tucket Road from R40 to industrial.
There's the property. So I just have a GIS map showing 88 Totucket Road.
Which one's 80?
The kind of L.
The
Yep.
big one here?
Mhm.
We all do this. I mean, I do a lot with AE.
Yep.
Hi. For the record, my name is Timothy Lee. I represent Joe Goodwin, who is the owner of the property at 88 Tucket Road. The property is currently zoned R4, although it has housed a commercial use at the property since at least the 1950s. And I listened to your discussion on the prior vote, on the prior application, and we're faced with similar issues that you were discussing. We have a commercial business at the site that's interested in expanding and growing, but because our property is located in an R40 zone, we're limited in what we can do in terms of expansion and growth without, and our only option would be to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to seek a variance. And so the same rationale you were considering in your prior application would apply in this situation as well. So Joe Goodwin, the owner, had met with Carrie a couple months ago to discuss the viability of changing the zoning designation for this property. Carrie had suggested that we write to the commission, ask to meet with the commission informally, just to bring up the idea, take the pulse of the commission with regard to this application before we went through the process of submitting a formal application to you. Our property is about 4 acres. It's used as a metal fabricating business. They create parts, aftermarket parts for trucks and things along those lines. It has been used as a metal fabricating business for decades. Prior to that, it was used as a statewide trucking business. Property directly across the street from ours is the old Silly Putty factory. Once again, that was a commercial building. Property behind us, I think, belongs to the RWA, so there's no chance of that being developed either industrial or commercially. What's really driving the bus for my client is twofold. One, because we're a non-conforming use, they have difficulty obtaining financing from accredited lenders and stuff like that, because there's always concern about lending to a non-conforming use. And two, they do the metal fabricating business, and they work on a couple trucks at a time. They would like to get a dealer repairer's license so that they could purchase trucks at an auction and repair or fabricate the trucks inside their building and then be able to sell them. They wouldn't sell them from that location, they sell them on the internet. But they, without a change in zone, they're not allowed to get the dealer repairer's license in order to purchase trucks to do the aftermarket repairs, which they're doing anyway at their site. So really, if we submit the application, the board seems fit to grant the change to industrial 2 zone, I2 zone. The only difference would be we would have dealer repairers that we could purchase trucks, but the use of the property is going to remain identical to what's going on there right now.
You said right across the street's Silly Putty?
Correct.
That's it there.
And then right
Right.
next to the property,
It's
is that a residential home?
Is that big white colonial?
Is that a home there, right?
Yep,
Big
that's
white-
the
big white-
property owned by Secondino. He's actually in favor of the zone change.
The one in
So
the
if we
front?
would- Yeah, in the front. So if we go forward with the zone change application, we probably, when we do our property, that house property in front of ours, the property across the street, and we talk to people about whether other people want to be included in that change as well.
So you talked about expanding the business.
Yep.
What would that mean to the property?
In terms of pretty much nothing, because they're already doing the use inside the property. We're grandfathered in as a metal fabricating business, so they're doing the metal fabrication right now. If you had a truck, for instance, and you wanted to put some aftermarket pieces on that truck, you would bring your truck there, they would work on the truck, they would create the market, then you drive your truck out of there. What they'd like to be able to do is buy their own trucks, do the fabricating on trucks that they own, and then sell their trucks on the internet. So the use of the property would be the same. They wouldn't do sales from that site. The sales would be internet-based. So really, the way they envision it, nothing different would be going on at the property.
Did you say you're going to include that property, the Secondino property, and the Silly Putty?
Correct. They're all zoned residential, even though they're
Yeah, no.
commercial. And Secondino has, well, maybe a mix of commercial and residential on his property, but Joe has spoken to Mr. Secondino, and they
So it'd
would.
be all 3 properties.
That-
Tim, I don't know what's going on with Silly Putty.
okay.
It's on the
Isn't this Silly Putty?
That's becoming housing, isn't it?
Oh, is it becoming housing?
So they did receive approval to subdivide it into 3 lots, however, it lapsed. They never filed the Mylar, so
Yeah.
they lost their approval.
But then I'll retract about the Silly Putty.
Yeah.
We were just trying to create a massive property so you wouldn't have alleviate the fear of spot zoning.
What's the use of the Secondino property?
Right now, it's residential. Joe, do you want to comment?
I'm confused about that.
Yeah, I would not, yeah.
Okay.
I store a lot of his products on the property, and
But I guess, is there a house there?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice white
White
colonial-looking
colonial, yeah.
house. There may be some storage, commercial storage in the
Okay.
back and
That's
things like
Associated
that.
with it?
So they have solar panels on the side, right?
The property that we're talking, I'm Joe Goodwin.
Yeah, you're in the back.
The property we're talking about basically is that when you have the White House in front, that he's been there, I guess his family at one point in time owned the entire piece of property. So the property we're talking about is something that was used as commercial since, for day one.
Yeah.
Everything to the right side of me is owned by either the right of way between the gas company, the water company, the utility company. Everything in back of me is the same thing. All they have a right of way to the right, to the left. So what we're proposing is basically keeping the building the same way it is, but call it what it is.
What if the water property, the water company would have an issue with that?
We met with the water company, it was the water company.
Utility?
We were talking about, in your office a couple of months ago, about storing salt and sand, and they allowed me to store salt and sand, because we
Right.
actually do a winter business that we have going on. So we asked permission about the salt and sand, which they granted me that.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
So,
They would be notified as part of
Yeah,
the
sure.
process, but.
So, yeah, it's not just the current use, and this is with anything when we do this, it's, what if you sell the land to somebody else, it's I-2, they come in, and so we'll have to take a look at everything under I-2, or I-2, just to make sure, I mean, we know that you're gonna keep that business there, and that's the intention, but if you decided to sell to somebody who wanted to put a business in there, we just need to make sure that it, no matter what it would be, would fit the use there. Like I'm saying, I'm just gonna throw this out there, we wouldn't want a quarry to move into that. You know, that's, I mean, it couldn't anyway, but I'm just saying, we would wanna make sure of what other options are for the future.
sure. And just to know my background is I'm a real estate agent, so I fully understand exactly what, your decisions have to be. The only thing I want to do is say that what I'm doing there is proper, and I'm following what I'm
Oh,
supposed to
no, I
do.
agree with that, yeah.
So like, when we talked about, retrofitting trucks and cars,
Right.
we're doing that right now.
Right.
But unfortunately, I have to go through the dealer to get what I'm doing when I can do it on my own.
Right.
And like, I'm not opening up used car lot.
Right.
Most of the vehicles that we do is on spot. We retrofit them and they're sold immediately out of the shop. So we're not asking for.
And that's been done since the 1950s, or it was?
Oh, well,
another-
it was a trucking company since, well, we dated back since 1950 when it was a trucking company. So what I'm saying to you is that basically, that property that we're talking about, 88,
It's not
is
to use as residential.
utilized as a commercial use from day one.
Oh, yes, it's especially.
And we make good neighbors too.
Well, like I said, it's not you, it's the future.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Sure, but I understand, but with the future, if you think about the future, about the town moving forward, I would say another 10 years, you're gonna probably take Route 80 and look at my building, and I think that you're gonna all decide to make that all commercial anyways. I think, maybe, ahead of time.
Maybe, I mean, I think at this point in time, we're just kind of in the initial stages and the planning stages, so what we're really trying to do is take the pulse of the commission, and if we got a immediate negative reaction, then maybe we wouldn't go. If we got a reception that, hey, it's an interesting idea, let's look into it some more, we'll consider it, then, we may pursue it a little bit further. So that's all kind of we're looking for tonight. And
So my initial reaction, and I said it, we had, was it last meeting or 2 meetings ago? And I'll just keep my commission informed. I feel like we're approaching a slippery slope with zone changes. And how do we support businesses but rein in changing all these residential zones to industrial? With, I feel like we might be doing it too quickly and without a little bit more foresight and some boundaries to it. So I'm very nervous, we're just going into a direction where we're just going downhill and not really thinking about the consequences of taking these situations where, it's been always used as this, just make it I-2, and then 10, 15, 20, 50 years down the road, it's like, ooh, why did we do that? So
Some
just
may,
have to proceed cautiously and just be very, very thoughtful
Well,
about it.
the major problem came is because when they did our regulations, we had so much, we were so spread out, there was businesses, which we consider, and I don't think when they did the original document, the only person who was around was maybe Ron, but they didn't take a lot of this into consideration either. They just said, okay, this is our 40 over here, this is our 40 over here, we're gonna do this down here, but not looking what was already there.
Or
So that's, I mean, we know that because a lot of the lots, I'm not say a lot of them, but there's a number of them that are, like you say, we always hear, because that's since 1972 or 1957, it's been used for this. So they didn't take a lot of the consideration of what was already there.
Yeah.
I just want to play
So-
devil's advocate.
yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
they
no,
were,
I agree.
maybe
Yeah.
they were thinking, we don't want this to be a business anymore, and we want it to become
Absolutely.
residential.
Well, some make absolute sense, and they've been even identified in our plan of conservation and development, because maybe it's a residential that's landlocked by business zones. I mean, so those make sense, we've already identified some. I wondered, has this ever been, this is not, this was never on,
No.
I didn't think so.
No. Yeah, I mean.
And I think that's mainly because the Silly Putty factory has been vacant for so long. When did you purchase this property?
2 years ago.
Okay. And before that, it was operating as
Yeah.
metal factory. So, in comparison to the one on 22 that we just looked at, those are 3 businesses that have been, more than just one business is my
But
point.
also, when I brought to your attention, when I purchased that property, when I pulled the field card from the property,
Uh-huh.
it was listed commercial.
Right, right.
So I bought that property knowing it was commercial.
But-
At the time where it said on your field card.
Right,
And
so
that's
but
why
I
we-
think that's maybe by the assessor,
Yeah, assessment.
not
It
the
could've been.
zoning.
Well, that was one of the reasons purchasing it. And then after, it wasn't until months later, I finally found out, something's changed.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
Title search.
yeah. But I'm saying, the building's not, it's gonna be exactly what we're doing right now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, like I said, I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
I think
it's what, it's just, yeah.
it's gonna be industrial. So you leave, and it could be anything that's, now it's granted by right.
Residential. Yeah.
Now, whatever's in there, it could come, and we can't say anything, because it's granted by right, once we say it's this, so. That's what we have to assess. It's not assessing you, it's assessing
So
the zone.
here's some of the things that, if it was I2, these are some of the things that it could be. Stands for display and sale of farm, truck, garden, forestry, and nursery, produce grown on the premises. Building uses for the town of Branford. Child daycare homes. Commercial golf and driving range, which wouldn't be applicable. Public utilities, switching stations, equipment buildings, same thing. Stores and other buildings, structures where goods are sold or services are rendered, which would be similar to what they're asking for. Business or professional offices, vet, domestic daycare, domestic animal daycare, indoor theater, painting, plumbing, electrical, sheet metal, blacksmith, welding, companies, painting establishment, painting establishment and binderies. That's been a typo.
Harry, some of these are gonna be limited to just because of what the parcel is
Yeah, the
and
size,
everything
yeah.
around it.
Host, warehouse, storage facility, lumberyard, manufacturing, processing for selling of goods, research, laboratories, manufacturing, assembly, research, retail, sale, and distribution of heating fuel. So that's pretty much what it is. So, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to close that. And so, see, the other place across the way, so somebody was gonna turn into residential if they hadn't come by, so I don't know, Is that zone residential?
Mhm.
That's R40 as well, yeah.
That's our 40 as well.
And then, we get into spot zoning, and I don't like the idea, well, to say it's not spot zoning, we're gonna throw in another property to it. It feels like it's kind of backdooring it. So I struggle with the path where changing zones is going. Especially, again, because it's surrounded by, all residential, not, others, so I struggle with this.
That's the fun of our town, because how Aaron mentioned, when this whole came about, back when zoning came about, there were so many businesses and industries scattered throughout the town. It's just the way the town's structured. So how do you make the best of it?
So again, playing devil's advocate, do they want the structure to go away from that or towards it? I would love to.
Well, you refer back to your
What was
plans
in there?
conservation too now. 'Cause that changes every decade. So what their plans were 6, 7, 8 decades ago, it's gonna be different than now.
The other thing is like, is it ever gonna be residential?
Can it ever revert back?
Oh, no, I mean, they can knock, so how many acres is it?
4.
It's 4 acres, plus you have high tension wires from the UI company, you have right-of-ways all around my property. Would it ever be residential? Absolutely not.
Unless they bought it, knock on the building, put up maybe a house or two. So.
Costs a lot more to do that and invest into that
House
than
in
do
front's
a
pretty
business.
nice.
What's that?
House in front's nice.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen the one in back, so.
No, I never knew it existed.
Yeah, I just see the one in
I
front.
mean,
Well, I'd be even willing to take the parcel of property, if you think the White House is so beautiful in front, I would take a parcel of property and build another house that matches that, and still keep my commercial in back.
I look at every opportunity and I would consider it, not sure which way, we'd have to.
Yeah, we're not looking for a commitment tonight either.
Yeah, of course not.
Is it something just worth considering? Let's put it that way. That's what they're looking for.
We always strive to make some, look at things that are non-conforming, to bring them, do something right,
Right.
to make them
Conforming,
conforming.
Yeah, we just did that.
This is-
non-conforming. Right.
Is
Well,
this, I mean, is it,
Right.
this apply to something like this,
right, a zone change would make that
right?
We make the use
more-
conforming.
Right, make
Yeah.
the use conforming. That's my only question with the parcel in the front, is that if there's any residential use on it, then, and if that one changes as well, then you would make that one more
Non-conforming,
non-conforming.
correct.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I was kind of going, like.
What do you
I know
mean,
what
making
you-
the one in front more non-conforming?
So if there's a residential use on the parcel in the front.
Which there is.
Which there is, and if
Now
you
you're making-
rezoned more than one parcel, I-2, you would be making the one that is conforming in the front, that has residential
Yeah.
use, more non-conforming
You
by
look
having
at
it
the standards of your plan of conservation development, you look at this kind of intent of trying to make things,
be. Right.
bringing non-conforming things into conformity, but now this is a kind of oddball because it has.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
We're going, bringing one, more, but one less.
Less.
I mean, I would
It's like-
consider the front I mean, that's one I would consider, I'm just considering the property that we're talking about, not.
They want this whole thing. So
Well-
this
No,
residential.
he just-
Well, yeah, I mean, we own 88, so that's the property we're primarily interested in.
Right.
Okay.
We did have a conversation with the
Gotcha,
owner
okay,
of the
right.
White House,
Yeah,
who
I
said he
mean,
would be
I-
willing
if
to.
There's a house on it, like,
Then
in
that-
Bill's point is pretty good, I mean, if there's a house on it, we
Right,
don't
makes it
necessarily
even-
flip it back over, and make it
Yeah.
into,
It's not,
Going down the
it's
deep
not a,
end.
it's not
Yeah,
a,
if somebody's doing, if
it's like,
somebody's
if it's
doing.
I, and this was R, that's
Yeah. If
straightforward.
somebody's doing something on an R40 that, they shouldn't be doing, then we shouldn't be making it into conforming, that's,
Yeah. But I
I'm
mean-
100% agreeing with that.
So now, this goes back to Trish's point, like, now it would be, everything's R except this.
Right.
So that's like just dropping an I into the percent, that doesn't make sense in the way we plan, that's not our planning hat, right?
Right,
Our
right.
planning hat says we wouldn't do that. Well, it doesn't do it for me now.
Right,
When we
well,
look at our planning
but then
side of
if you,
things.
so then looking from a planning perspective at like the Silly Putty Factory, I mean, that's been sitting there vacant for many, many years, and I think they've had a hard time trying to figure out what to do with it. Beyond the building just being challenging and the zoning being residential, the lot's challenging because it's very steep slope. But it's interesting to think about if you rezone that, what could go there? And I don't know that that solves all the problems because of the challenges with the property, because it's on a curve, Tucket Road's challenging there. like I say, the parcel itself is sloped, but it's just the history of that specific area, those 2 or 3 properties, whatever, probably more, going back to the 50s, was industrial in nature, but.
But as much as we keep deferring to the plan of conservation of development, in our regs,
Mhm.
we have a reg about the characteristic of the neighborhood.
Mhm.
So I just feel like we have blinders on and we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and that's a reg of ours. The planning of conservation and development is not something we have to follow by law.
Right.
It's a
Well,
guideline.
yeah, we do.
It's a guideline.
Well, yeah.
It's not a reg, it's a
Right,
guideline.
yeah.
But we have in our regs characteristics of the neighborhood.
Right.
So to drop an I-2 all around our 40s is
Well,
not
there's
following the
really no
regs.
R40 around them. He's surrounded by water company property.
No, but it's zoned.
Yeah, I mean, those few
Yeah,
houses over there,
zone.
right.
But I'm just saying, we, for the past several weeks, when people have come up to us for zone changes, it's been all about the plan of conservation and development, but we have a whole set of regs, where one of the big ones, especially in the beginning, is the characteristics of the neighborhood. So, it just, again, I think we're going down a slippery slope and a dangerous road too easily and with blinders on right now. And we need to open up and have a little bit more perspective.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I take offense to that, because I think I'm just gonna look at opportunities. I mean, we don't have to. All we're trying to do is, we haven't gone down any slope yet. And it's just an opportunity to say, I mean, we could deny, it could be denied, but is it something, all they wanna know is it's something that we wanna take a look at. And not saying that you definitely have a valid point, there's no question about it, but we're not, it's not a hearing right now. All we need to do is say, hey, do we wanna take a look at it and take a better view of it, and we'll get to where you're getting at. But that is, because a lot of these properties are mishmashed in there.
Mhm.
Some should not be changed, but some should be changed, like we did in the ones that
I
we got here.
agree 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, we should,
Well, we also have to think about
if we
the
don't wanna
houses
take a look at
around
it, if we're definitely don't wanna make that, it's completely out of the realm of making a change, then that's fine. Then they go, be done in ZBA. But if we wanna look at it as an opportunity of that, and maybe something else, maybe we take a look at it across the street at the Silly Putty Factory as well, and say, well, maybe we'll take a look at both of those. Now, not saying that they, we can have a discussion amongst ourselves of what we think, if we want to, look at the Silly Putty Factory and say, hey, well, the residential was already tried there, it does have major challenges, so maybe we do both, if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then absolutely we shouldn't be doing it. But, I mean, I just don't want to close the door immediately just yet without having
And nor
a
am I-
larger discussion on it.
And nor am I speaking in a way to have the door closed, it's just that we need to proceed, if we proceed, with all perspectives and not just only focused on
Oh,
the
absolutely.
plan of conservation and development, which is a whole other
Absolutely.
perspective we have to keep in mind. From
But the
this-
only way we can proceed is if we tell them that we're gonna take.
We need a lot more information to
Absolutely,
even
but
proceed.
that's what a public hearing would do. So that's, I mean, we're not gonna get all the information tonight, and we're not gonna be able to solve it all tonight, but the only way to do it would be with a public hearing to rezone it. And then we would acquire all the information, we would acquire the property owners around there, we can discuss the plan of conservation, we can look at, I think we need to look at more than just that one property. I agree 100% with Trish. It can't be just that spots. We need to look at everything around it, not just look at that one property. Whether we add other pieces in there, that would be completely up to us. Or not do anything at all. I agree. We should, but the only way to do it would be through a public hearing to get all the information.
What we may do hearing, well, I guess what I'm hearing, it's an idea that's worth having a discussion about, with obviously no
Yeah.
guarantees of an outcome one way or the other. So maybe we'll do a little more homework on our end. We can talk to Carrie about, what we think we can do to work the surrounding properties as well, and maybe we'll ask to appear on a future agenda in a month or two with some additional information for you.
Yeah, and we will discuss it
Yep.
as well. Either later tonight or maybe most likely in another future meeting.
Sure.
Because, I mean, that's one thing that we when you look at, I mean, you brought something there, but we look at other properties as well. So, all
Fair enough.
right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next one. Moving on.
I'll take that. Just all together. Thank you.
Discussion regarding proposed attached garage at 264 Branford Road.
Okay, this is another, put your planning hat on. I was hoping that the party who is interested would be here. So this is on Route 139. Here's an aerial photo. So
Oh.
you're heading south on Branford Road, Route 139. It's on your right-hand side, so you'd pass the entrance to Central Plaza, the daycare, and then there's a residential house before you see Brook and Whittle.
Yeah.
So on your right-hand
Right here?
side, yep, yep. So it's kind of like up on a hill. It's, I think, the only residential house between Route 80 and probably right before Twin Lakes Road. So it's zoned, it's zoned B2. Like I say, there's a single-family house there, so it's a non-conforming use, which is the residential on a business zone parcel. Someone is interested in purchasing the property, and he has a landscaping business, and what he explained to me is that he'd like to build a detached garage to house his landscape equipment. Possibly have a bathroom in there, you'd maybe locate like an office in there. But the question that I have for you all is, that proposal fits in my view, because it's moving more towards the business use, so he would be constructing a building, he would have to come to you all for site plan, because it's kind of a change of use from residential kind of to business, but he'd still be occupying the home. So, you know, so it's a little tricky because there'd be two uses on there. There'd be residential, but also his business use, and the business use would be by storing his landscaping vehicles in the garage.
Can we just do something with mixed use, right?
The buildings
We'd
are
like to-
attached.
We have a mixed
Church
use.
was trying to be a business.
That's down the street.
Remember that? We had
Yeah.
something that was a mixed,
That was down the street.
we talked about this in the past.
Not this particular.
No,
property.
no,
they were
no.
the same- Yeah, remember that?
Is
Yeah.
there a salon
The church
on
is right down the street.
parking
It
lot?
was a daycare. It was
Yeah.
gonna be-
This is a single-family
Yeah,
home.
Something. Yeah,
So the
something.
difference
I
with this
remember
is, because
It
it's
was
two separate
something similar.
buildings. Because I think in the regs, if they're attached, I think it actually goes with the regs on this, because they're separate.
Right.
It's,
So if he came in and said, I'd like to add a garage onto the existing house, I would say you can't do that because it's expanding a pre-existing non-conforming,
Right.
which is the residential use. Because it's detached and he's using it for his landscaping business, it seems more aligned with the business use. How I'll be able to really enforce that he's parking his landscaping vehicles in there versus his car that he uses for personal reasons is a little bit of a gray area, but that's why I wanted to talk with you
What's
all
that
about.
business that just came to us where they put together furniture, they're also living there? Is it because it's only one building? The one on?
So they
Oh,
have,
there's-
right,
yeah.
they
One on
have,
Route 80.
they're proposing residential on the second floor.
Yeah.
So that would be a new building, but residential on the second floor, and then retail on the first floor.
That is.
So that is
different?
mixed use, that's different, because this is a separate, single-family home exists on this property already. The whole building
garage
is
is
used for
separate?
residential.
Okay.
And he'd like to purchase that home, have
Yeah.
his family live in there, but then build a garage
Building
for
garage
his landscaping equipment.
Well, so I'm gonna throw this out there. So if you need a garage for your landscaping, then why would you need a bathroom? I mean, to say that sounds like an apartment to me.
Well, that's, I
Yeah,
did
I
say to
mean,
him, you can't
yeah.
have someone live in there, and that would be up to the building official to,
If he wants to put a garage, it's one thing, but put it in a bathroom, well,
but then again, if he has an
Yeah.
office
yeah,
there,
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
supports
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
business
Workers' phone in
zone.
the house.
So the problem is he wants to keep the house
Yeah.
resident, a
Yes.
house,
Yes,
build a garage for his business.
Mhm.
yes.
So the garage
So
is
he's not
conforming, the house isn't.
Yeah.
So he's not expanding the non-conforming current use, which is okay. That's the house.
Right.
But he, like you say,
Splitting
he's
use.
putting on, he's adding on a detached garage for a business, which it is zoned for.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that
Why
you
does
say
it have to
that-
come to us?
No,
Well,
I'm
I just
saying
wanted to
you
run it
just
by you
wrote-
because you
like
have
that.
two
Yeah.
It
uses
wasn't making sense until I said
Yeah.
that,
that they're both allowed, but the residential is the non-conforming.
But yeah, it's
And-
not becoming more non-conforming, he's
No, it's
gonna
coming.
put
It's
a,
becoming
yeah.
more, yeah, more conforming.
so it sounds like,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you were on the
Yeah.
same page.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, easy enough.
Meeting schedule.
Meeting schedule, thank you.
oh, what's the?
Let's take a really good look at this, especially
Yeah.
in
August.
July,
That's what we
August,
said last
and
night, what's this with July and
December.
August?
Fine
Everyone
with me.
wanted to bet
Fine
on
with me.
July and August last
What?
night.
What's that?
Wetlands.
Yeah.
Um,
So Harry, do we wanna start just the next meeting anyway, so, cause we were debating on that one, the January 2nd.
oh,
Not
You-
start.
Well-
She wants to,
Well, no, cause Harry and I are discussing, cause some of us won't be here
Yeah.
on January 2nd, we're debating, cause right now, this schedule is still not in concrete.
Mhm.
So if it's changed right now, then it's still considered a regular meeting. If any of this is voted in right now, and the dates that we change, then those meetings are considered special meetings.
right, the one thing is that I believe that last year, similar to this year, we adopted the 2 meetings in January. So see how this is proposing to adopt the January meetings in 2021? I think you already adopted
Yes,
a
you're
schedule for
Oh,
the
that already
January
has
meetings
this,
in
okay.
2020. So
So
I,
you-
which
you-
is fine, we could just cancel those too, but they will become special
You won't
meetings. If you
become a
have-
special meeting.
If you change from what we had already approved,
Oh, well, I see what you,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's only for January.
yes,
I'm just saying, so the only thing we have to do with January is just cancel the January 2nd meeting.
yes, okay.
I mean, that, right? We could just say, I mean, I don't think we
Yeah.
have a whole lot for January 2nd. We can get that, well, the week, that'll be our next meeting.
January 7th and 14th.
I don't think we do.
Right, so we
Yeah,
could
cause the
just,
16th is a month from now, so.
yeah, we could just cancel the
Yeah.
January 2nd one. But let's look at, yeah, so. then-
August 6th, we would need to change, because
Yes.
the Poco Fest, yeah, it's the first full weekend in August,
Right.
so that 6th falls on that Thursday night, and there were a lot of conflicts, because there's
Yes.
that event on Thursday night.
So,
So
so
move
do
it.
you want to move that to the next week, or just leave the August 20th one? Because I know I go on vacation the week,
Second week of August.
right after the second week.
Cancel it, and if we.
No, just make one meeting in August, make it August 20th.
Yeah, correct, cancel the 6th, leave the 20th.
Is that good?
I'm moving towards that. And if we have to have a meeting, we would do.
We could always have a special meeting.
Yeah, because we're only gonna have 2 meetings in 2 months. So July 9th and then the August 20th.
So we're canceling
So
January
do
2nd.
what's your count? What's 4th of July this year?
Do we want to go back to back in January?
It's a Saturday.
I think that's a mistake.
Saturday.
Okay. 4th of July?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good one, Trish. On this, I had January 7th, 2021, and then it has the following week. Should that be the 21st?
Yeah, because it's the 1st and 3rd anyway,
Yeah.
so January 21st, right? We're supposed
Yep.
to meet the 1st and
Unless
3rd.
there's a reason
Yeah.
for
First and third.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
good catch.
December 10th, November 5th, and 19th, October, yeah, and the rest of them.
Now it looks good.
When's, Memorial Day is what?
I was looking at that.
I think.
I think it's late this year.
Yeah, I think
this
it's
year
gonna be
coming
like
up.
the
The
30th?
25th.
25th?
Wow, quick. I
So
can't
that's-
even,
It's the 25th, so that's the week before. And
Yeah.
we move the April meeting to April 1st, so we can have a full day.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay, so far I have canceling the August 6th meeting and then changing the January 14th
How's,
to January 21st.
How's everyone's, the June 4th looking?
Excellent.
Mhm.
No, I have no idea.
I know it's far out, I'm just putting that one out there, I might not be be here for that one.
And we're canceling the second, right, of this year, of the next year,
Well, you-
2020?
I'll confirm, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's adopt this
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
right,
20,
sure,
with
yep.
the second.
Yeah.
Um,
So, let's, if somebody would like to make a motion to approve, with only one meeting in August being the 20th, and also changing, January 14th, 2021 to January 21st, 2021. If someone wants to do that? You do everything else?
Mhm.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the 2020 calendar year with the following changes. Do I say we're canceling the January 2nd, 2020
No.
meeting? No, I
No.
don't. Okay. So we are going to cancel, take off the August 6th, 2020 meeting and change the January 14th, 2021 meeting to January 2021 meeting.
Have to play those numbers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion on the calendar?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none? Seeing none? It passes 4-0. Okay. So, town planners report.
I'm good.
Okay. So if I wanna bring, if we wanna bring up stuff for discussion at the end of the meeting,
Yes.
Somebody make a motion to add to the agenda, a discussion on the agenda.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Is this
All
a
right.
trick? Is this a
Oh,
trick?
I know what you're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to, I guess, what, add to other business first before we go to town planners?
Oh, we did that, just,
I'll make a
other-
motion
yeah.
to make a motion to change the agenda for tonight. To include, I'm assuming it's the order of the agenda,
Yeah.
the way it flows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. So, we were at the, how to running meeting with our town attorney.
Mhm.
It was pretty enlightening. It was pretty good too. It was funny too, but anyhow. Well, we were talking, Trish and Alex and I, and they, I can't remember if it's Trish or Alex, who brought a good point. When we do a public hearing and we have multiple rooms during the day, during the evening,
The wait.
we do one, then we do the other, then we do another, let's say we have three, but then we have to go back and remember everything from the first one to have any discussion.
It's not fair to people
Yeah.
waiting.
Right, and then the other part is people waiting, I mean,
Yep.
one way or the other, people are gonna be waiting
Yeah.
anyway, but, so what the thought would be is to, have, if there's a public hearing, have the public hearing, then after the public hearing would be action.
Mhm.
Then there'd be the next public hearing, then action.
Mhm.
Another public hearing, then action. Instead of going through all of the.
Well, Harry,
public
it
hearings.
shouldn't just be for the public hearing, it should just be new business and then action, because this could be also some items that not necessarily have a public, it's a public
That would
hearing,
be under, that
but.
would be under old, considered old business.
No, but it like, there's some cases where we have applications the same night that aren't a public hearing,
Right.
and.
We go through
I-
all of them and act on all of them after.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah. Oh,
should be just treated the same as,
Yeah.
okay, you have this one's up,
Well-
it's
Mhm.
fresh in our mind.
Oh, yeah,
Address
so
it.
that, public hearing, action, public
Yeah.
hearing, action. But then the other thing, now you brought up a good point, so what if we have, so that's how we always start off the meetings with, right? So public hearing, so say we do public hearing, action, then we go to old business, or new business, which might be a site plan, which might be a 15-minute site plan. Should we think about moving some of that new business
Shorter
up?
stuff.
I don't know, I mean, can we?
So here's the only reason why I've been taught to
Yeah.
have the public hearing first, and it's because when notices go out to abutters, we state the start of the meeting time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that when they arrive, they are under the expectation that the meeting starts with a public hearing.
Okay. All right.
I mean, that's not to say that you can't take things out of order, I guess, at the meeting.
I was just, I like that idea, but just, to your point, I'm just wondering, sometimes, I guess if we close the public, sometimes there's extensive discussion.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Right.
So the second public hearing starting really late.
Right. Well, either way, it's gonna.
Yeah,
get a
either
lot
way,
of
you're
sort
gonna
of-
have to wait for the discussion. Anyway, I guess there's really no.
I mean, when the lawyer
Way
was
around it.
talking about it, it just, I think it made us,
It
it
does
clicked in
make
our head,
sense.
like, he said, not only is it for obviously the public, but for the commission's thinking, like, you had this great discussion, and especially if it is lengthy,
Yeah.
then you, what if there's another lengthy one, and you put
Yeah,
in
that-
all
yeah.
these resources, then you're
Right.
like, wait,
Yeah, I
You
remember
were
this
good for
public,
that.
I'll look
Yeah.
at other
this public
towns.
comment said this, you're like, wait, is that the first one, the
Correct.
second one, third one?
Mhm.
so I just thought it made sense
Yeah.
from both just common sense
No, I
and the
think,
public
yeah.
and then us.
Because even like,
think
in
it
Carrie,
does.
her point was, so it says it's gonna start at 7. Well, one starts at 7, the other one starts at
Yeah,
whenever the second one's done, and the
'Cause
third one's done.
the agenda's published with
Right.
the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So you can see the agenda
Well, the agenda's posted.
posted, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not
It's
in
not
the
sell.
newspaper. So one thing that the town council does, just to think about this, is that a lot of times they'll have a public, so their meeting starts at 7, their public hearing starts at 7:30. So they can get through some business
Yeah,
ahead
I
of
like-
time and then start, so we could do that as well.
Well,
Yeah.
the only hard part would be, you trying to anticipate what's gonna happen 2 weeks down the road when you put it in for say you put it in.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
so, I mean,
The
we
newspaper.
could, I mean,
Twiddling
we
your
could.
thumbs for 15
Yeah.
minutes.
So
Yeah,
we-
that's-
We could say,
Council does that sometimes too, when they
Yeah.
go through business quick.
I mean, we
Mhm.
could, I think you'd have to just kind of play it by ear and say, okay, well, if there's a couple site plans, let's start the public hearing at 7 o'clock, and from 6:30 to 7, we'll do site plans. If it goes a little bit over 7 o'clock, doesn't matter.
Right, if we have a
Yeah.
really full agenda. But like you're saying, well, I should know, but when we advertise the time. But they send the
Yeah.
letters out to their neighbors,
Site plans.
public
Public
hearings.
hearings, yeah.
So I may get a site plan, I don't know if this would happen.
We-
I
we
shouldn't
could.
get a site plan
Why are we
within
worried
2
about
weeks.
other business?
Well, just
I'm
a little-
almost like we should
The
just,
shorter stuff.
just do what we, just do public hearing and the action, public hearing and
Yeah.
action.
Oh, no, that's where it came
If
from, but then
that-
we're thinking, the only reason I was
yeah.
saying a site plan, because somebody has found a site plan, it's gonna take 10 minutes, let's say, or
Yeah.
a half hour. They have to sit for a couple hours
Yeah.
on that. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
somebody's gonna be waiting anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it's somebody from the public hearing,
And
somebody from the
you
site plan.
can always amend the agenda the night of the
Mm.
meeting, as long as it's not a special meeting.
But we've done that when we have a bunch of site plan, or public hearings, right? We've tried to
Yes, if
get
we
someone
have
in,
something that we know it's
pull
going to
out
be
quick.
fairly
Yeah.
quick.
And we've had multiple public hearings, and all of them took long. Nobody, I mean, the audience didn't seem to get upset.
Mm.
They kind of come in knowing it could be long, so
Yeah.
I actually, based on their reactions, I don't think they would get upset if they had to wait an extra 5, 10, or 15 minutes, because they already came in knowing, oh, I might have to wait an hour to get to even my public hearing, because there's one before me. I mean, no one's ever really expressed that to us, so I'm sure they would
Something-
tolerate doing the shorter stuff first.
Something like tonight where it's just a brief discussion, we could just amend the agenda
Mm.
in 5 minutes and then.
Yeah, I
and go
think they
to
would
the
tolerate
public.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because like, if these guys, like, say they just wanted to have 10 minutes, and then, but we had 3.
Public hearings, yeah.
Yeah, and then we're
Yeah.
exhausted, and then we're listening to
get-
them and not
yeah.
giving them 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And when you do have the public hearings though, too, is one thing we can do, I mean, is that after it's open and they speak and we get some public comment, we can just, at that point, continue it to the next meeting. If there's a big agenda,
Yeah.
we don't have to,
Sure.
we can just collect some information, take it home. Even if we got everything is in line, if it's not something that we want to make a quick decision on, and there's going to be further discussion or whatever, we can always take, continue that to the next one and move
Yeah.
on, especially if it's a large, if there's a large agenda. So,
Mhm. Okay.
just a thought.
I'm for it, makes sense.
I'll revise the agenda though.
So we'll just do, so we'll just do public, so we can just call it, public hearing, action,
Mhm.
or actionable, I don't know if we wanna say action. Cause we can have an action, whatever it might be.
I forget how we phrase
Yeah,
it. Possible action, I think is what it was.
Possible
Mhm.
action.
yeah. That'll make it easier.
Okay.
What else did we say? Oh,
Was this
The straw vote,
yeah, we can't,
yes.
he,
Yeah.
he played both sides of the fence on the straw vote.
Mhm.
He says you kinda can't, but you kinda can.
Yeah, I think he said by Robert Rules of Orders, don't do
Can't,
it.
Right, but,
I read through the packet and my interpretation was if you're only taking a straw vote, you can't do it.
Yeah,
If you're
Mhm.
taking a straw vote, but then like someone makes a motion and a second, then you can. That was my interpretation, but I haven't talked with him.
we need a motion in a second on
he
straw vote.
said stay.
No,
Oh,
so
no.
if you only do a
No.
straw vote
Yeah,
and you
Terry said he actually
claim
said-
that you like take action,
right.
like, oh yeah, we took a straw vote, that was our action, but I don't think that's legitimate based on my reading of his packet. My interpretation was if you take a straw vote, but then you say, okay, I need a motion after you've taken the straw vote, then,
That's.
Why do you
Well,
take
he-
a
but
straw
he-
vote?
Well, he
Well,
said,
cause when you're not
Because-
sure which way you're gonna go, so,
Right.
yeah.
so if you take a straw vote and then you're like, I don't know, then you might say, well, let's continue this.
But one thing he did say, if you take a straw vote, it can almost if you do it where somebody already has a perceived
Yeah,
motion.
you could actually hurt it.
That, right,
Yeah.
If you already
so you,
determined.
so you would have to phrase something like, are you willing to consider this motion, are you in for it? I mean, there might be some terminology.
Right, I could
you
see
can use
that.
it. Cause I've never, I think we did it once, and I said, would you consider it? And I don't think we did a full straw vote, I think we just did, are you considering this motion?
What I took away from it was don't do it, but.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because of that, it
Yeah.
could look like you were biased and you weren't open to.
exactly, so.
well, that,
The
and if you
discussion.
do a straw vote, every member has to vote. You can't just go down so many votes
Mhm.
and then
Yeah,
you move on
Stop.
without finishing it, yeah.
so, so the moral of the story is, don't do it. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
that's,
on that.
that's what he just kinda said, to stay away from it.
But one
But
thing-
if he did have if you do it in this way.
So you
So
could
I don't
probably,
remember
you could probably
the in
say,
this way.
I have concerns about, and if I got more information about, then I might be okay, or.
You
Yeah,
could
oh,
double
yeah,
check
yeah,
with him what
yeah,
he meant
yeah.
by.
Yeah,
Then I
I'll
think,
find
then I
out.
think, that's one thing he did say, if you want, if you can
But I'll
ask if somebody
remain
needs more
open-minded.
information. So, but then, and then Trish raised the point, so if you make a motion to approve, and it's seconded, and it fails,
Mhm.
or do you do a motion to deny instead? Like, what's the, you said there was, somebody said that you shouldn't be doing one, because one does,
I forgot to take a picture. I looked at my notes.
It was
and
the
I have
motion to deny that I brought up, because we had the debate on, it went back into not this training session, but the one from the guy from UConn.
Mhm.
Caution, be very cautious how you word motions to deny because of the tie-breaking factor. And Vin said, no, it didn't make sense, but he couldn't find a source that night to justify it. So it's weird, but it's typically if you make a motion to approve, ends in a tie, it doesn't go through.
In my notes, I had something,
Mhm.
I don't remember, when you and I went, in my notes, I don't remember them now, which goes to show me I have to take better notes. I had like motion to deny, and next to it I had like abstain. I think there's something like if people start abstaining, the motions to deny.
you can't abstain though.
That just was, I
Yeah.
looked at my notes, it didn't trigger anything. However, I trust
You can't-
Alex and I.
I don't
Do you
think-
remember that?
Mm.
When we went, there was,
It was
Something I made it
because the
clear, be
worry
careful motion to
was
deny.
if you did the tie at the deny, then the motion for denial did not get approved. But then it got into, well, Does it get approved, or what happens? It
Right.
depends on what the application is.
Yeah.
Because there's certain applications, you make no action within a certain time frame, it
Right.
goes through.
Right, in a site plan.
But it is something really out there, rarely seen,
But be careful.
but there are instances
I
of
know
it.
it's dangerous.
So
Which I
if you
think-
had, so if you had a 2-2, let's just say you had a 2-2, and you had a motion to deny,
Mhm.
and that fails, then somebody would have to reintroduce a motion to approve,
I would think so.
and then that would pass because it'd be 2-2 tie. Let's just say nobody changed their vote.
Not necessarily. There's a weird example he brought up
Yeah.
from actually a legal case.
Do you remember who it was? Maybe he could.
I forget his name. Carrie knows the guy from UConn.
Oh, Bruce Hyde?
Yeah, I think it was Bruce.
I'll find out.
Instead of like asking like Barbara or Vin, like just let's ask him.
Well, that's because he had the example in like
Yeah.
his slides for that night.
And I
Okay.
have stars next to my notes. But I
Yeah.
just don't know what.
And the other thing is, if somebody makes a motion to approve, doesn't mean they have to vote for it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's one thing, yeah, so one thing is like, we do a lot of, we have a good discussion with the applicant, let's say in a public hearing, and we make some changes, so, and then we make a motion. But what we should do is take those notes, make a motion, and then amend. It sounds to me, amend, like say hours of operations is 8 to 5. Well, the applicant says, okay, I'm good with 8 to 1. Well, we shouldn't just write those in. I think we need to, somebody needs to make a motion to approve.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody needs a second, and then we start having a discussion, and somebody says, okay, we want to amend the hours to 8 to 1. Instead of changing it on your, I think.
Oh, we have to like make a
You need
motion
a
to.
motion.
Yeah,
Because we
yeah,
are
we
all
have to make
agreement.
amendments to
Okay.
it. I
Right.
mean, there's maybe some changes that are made, like, after some discussion, but if we're doing it that night, I think we need to make, because you really shouldn't be having a discussion until somebody makes a motion to approve. Again, you might be on the fence, or you could be completely against it, say, I'm not, but if you're kind of okay with it, you can make a motion to approve, we can have a discussion, then if it doesn't fit to what you want to do, you can vote no. I mean, I've seen
But
that done.
discussion is different than asking questions about an application.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you could, ask a lot of questions as opposed to getting into, I have concerns about, or I think this needs more information, right?
Yeah, but at that point, once it's in we can't get any more information.
Right.
Yeah, so we would
Special
have to-
sessions
Right.
closed.
Right.
If you want to have more discussion around
Mhm.
it and say, okay, here's the pros and cons or whatever, we would do that during that deliberation period. But we need to move that quicker into our process. Because right now, we're just taking that, Terry's making the update,
Yeah.
and we're kind of not, we're not voting on it after the fact, but maybe maybe we say, okay, the applicant says, 8 to 1, he's good, but maybe, you think it should be 8 to 1, maybe you think it should be 8 to 5. We should have a conversation about that during the whole process, instead of kind of just saying, we're kind of good with that, that's how we do it.
Exactly.
We can still have a discussion on the hours, once we read it, but it's better to do is amendment, and change them. Special conditions, adding them in there, Carrie can give us what she thinks, we would add them in.
Oh, that was the other thing from that meeting too, is reading everything in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to do that.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna be called the Bill Gaudenzi rule.
Yeah.
So you don't have to read actually,
So what do you have to-
all you have to do is read the application.
He
like
said
number.
application number?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
application and special amendments,
Or special
Conditions.
conditions.
special conditions, yes.
He
Yeah,
said
that makes
definitely
sense.
read the conditions.
So we can read like.
Oh, read the conditions, you could say standard conditions, 1, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
but
blah,
then
and then
read
special
the
conditions,
line
read
C1
those.
Read the
this
special
thing,
conditions
line
verbatim.
C2 of
Yeah.
this.
So you don't have to
Just-
read the plans in?
No.
No, not
No.
plan
This
one
is
of
as long as
20,
it's
plan
written
2
in,
of 20.
As long as those exhibits are documented and it's on the thing, that's fine. The only thing that did we say that we would read in the application number the address, like the first part.
Yeah,
of
always the
every
first
paragraph.
part.
Yeah,
The
the
first, the
draft.
first sentence.
He even said like
Yeah.
plans 1 through 20, like, you know, you
Yeah.
just summarize, like
Yeah.
not everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for going, that's huge,
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah,
very helpful.
He was a little over the place. That was good.
yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he probably could have kept going for another like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Since, well, we can't go and we can't do anything.
Just
Take a
take a
straw
missing
vote
Ron.
for
Ron's,
adjournment.
Ron's not.
I don't know, really want to step up?
Straw vote for
You imagine that?
adjournment?
Oh,
North
no.
Branford Planning and Zoning goes to, is taken to
Straw
court,
for
but took a
adjournment.
straw vote for adjourning the meeting.
Is that 7? That says 7.
Yes.
Wow.
I know, I
Like, that's,
I
no,
had
that's
8, and then I was like, oh,
I
no.
need dinner yet,
Well, actually,
Oh,
Harry,
the,
12 days left.
Well, no, we don't need Ron here. We can
Oh,
just stand
wow.
up and go.
Right.
oh, real quick, the,
You remember that part of the meeting?
he said, yeah,
When?
he just
I
leave.
forgot, no.
He said you could just leave, it's all
Yeah.
taken as consent.
That's the one of the few actions you could do if everyone just got up and left. That's us voting for
For
to
adjournment?
adjourning.
The annual dinner, RPC annual dinner.
Oh, yes.
Is, January 9th, probably gonna be somewhere in Wallingford, maybe at that Michael's
Sliders?
Trattoria.
Sliders.
Trattoria, how do you pronounce
Sliders.
that? No, something.
Trattoria.
Okay. I should
Got
feel a little
Denzi knows.
ashamed because I'm Italian too.
It's a small place, that's a small place.
And then I didn't bring it in, the presentation is gonna be about,
Data?
like how you, apparently there's, somebody else was like, ooh, he has good information about like how you develop or create a main street.
Patrick
So- Yes.
from Connecticut Main Streets.
Yes.
Oh.
There
Patrick
you go.
McMahon.
So what's it,
Somebody
what is
else
it,
said-
what's the subject on?
Develop a
Connecticut Main Streets.
How you
Yeah.
develop the
Main
main
Street like a center.
Yeah, it's so, because we
Yeah.
wanted something that was more universal
Yeah,
to
that'd
all
be
of
cool.
us.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a really interesting organization. I heard
Yeah.
him speak. I go to the regional meetings monthly now about housing, and he was talking about housing and kind of mixed use in a downtown. And it
Yeah.
would be great if North Branford was a member of Connecticut Main Streets, but we don't really have a main street.
We have 3 of them.
Yeah, but not like the
Four.
traditional like
Mhm.
downtown.
Madison.
Yeah,
17,
so
22.
Branford.
somebody else said
Guilford.
Guilford, they're excited.
Branford, Guilford, Madison.
Maybe
It's
that
kinda
was
shady.
50 Main Streets. But somebody else
Yeah.
said.
But, I mean, even
they're
towns
excited.
with traditional main streets, like Madison, not a member, because it's not cheap either, it's $1,000 a year.
I knew Madison was on Main Street.
They're not part of this
Oh, I was
Main
gonna
Streets
say-
organization.
I got you.
But
So,
anyway,
yeah,
that should
he'll
be
be
interesting.
speaking.
Oh, that'd be good, that'd be good.
Okay, so when I see that, I'll send it around, because we may not be meeting between now and then.
Yeah, that's right, because that's January 9th,
Yeah.
at our next meeting. Because wait, we canceled the January 2nd meeting?
Well,
Not
we'll,
yet.
not,
We're
not
Not yet.
officially,
We're-
but.
Yeah,
Oh.
We're heading that way.
Yeah.
All right, the count of 3, let's all get up and walk out. Ready?
Follow your lead,
No.
I'm just staff.
That just seems odd.
He said
And he
that.
said
I
that.
know, but
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't seem right.
But we have
Just
a
make a
film
motion.
crew that's, are used
They're on
to
it.
us adjourning, and if not,
Exactly.
we would.
I agree, I like the traditional adjournment.
Alright. You wanna do that on there, Bill?
Yeah, I make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that passes 4-0.
All right,